In this video for section 6.1, we're going to talk about how to use matrices to solve linear systems of equations. So a matrix is a rectangular array, and it stores numbers in rows and columns. Matrices always have brackets surrounding them, and the brackets look like this. So those are the brackets. And the numbers or values inside the brackets are sometimes called elements. And matrices can display information and also be used to solve systems of linear equations. So we're going to use Desmos to solve linear systems using matrices. So we're going to go to desmos.com. And when you go to desmos.com, you see this drop-down arrow at the top of the website that says Math Tools. Here's where you can access the graphing calculator, the scientific calculator, which I highly recommend that you use, and also the matrix calculator. So that's what we're using today. So when I'm using the matrix calculator, it looks like this. We're going to see how we use the matrix calculator to solve problems that involve systems. And so I'm going to go through these steps that are listed here on the first page of the notes for this week. So we're going to do this example using matrices. We're going to use matrices to solve this system. 4x minus 3y equals negative 15 and x plus 2y equals negative 1. So the way that we do this is first we enter a new matrix that contains the coefficients of the variables, or in other words, the numbers in front of the variables in each equation. And I want to put them in the same order that they are in the problem. So looking at this problem here, we have 4x minus 3y and x plus 2y. So the number in front of the first x in the upper left is a 4. And then I'm going to have a negative 3. If there's a minus sign in front of the number, whether it's in front of y or in front of x, any negative sign needs to also go on the number that you're putting in. And then I'm going to put in a 1 because in front of this x is an imaginary 1. So I'm going to put a 1 for that, and a 2. You can use tabs, or you can click on the spaces or use your arrows on your keyboard to get to these numbers. You can type numbers in on your keyboard, or you can use the keypad in the calculator as well. So that's my first matrix, matrix A. And then I'm going to push enter. You can push enter on the calculator itself, this blue button with the arrow, or just push enter on your keyboard, either one. And then the next matrix that I'm going to set up is going to be a matrix that has the numbers that are by themselves on the other side of the equal sign. And again, I'm going to put these in the same order that they're in. So I'm going to click on New Matrix again. Now this time I'm going to have to adjust the size of the matrix. So these buttons here, the minus and plus, will make the matrix bigger or smaller. When I enter this in, I want to enter it in a single column. So negative 15 and negative 1, just like they look like here with the negative 15 on top. So I'm going to change this from 2 columns to 1 and put in negative 15 and negative 1. And so that is my matrix B. So I'm going to push enter on that. And then I have those two matrices. Now what I do is I do A inverse times B. And what that looks like is we have capital A, or I can use the A button here, either one. And then I put the negative 1 exponent on it. So click on that. And then I multiply it by B. I can type B, or I can just click on the B. And this is giving me my answer. So when it gives me my answer, it gives me x on top and then y. So this is negative 3 comma 1 is the answer to this system. So if I write that, it's going to look like that. And then in the MyLab homework, they're going to put the squiggly bracket. Make sure that you're typing in the parentheses for the coordinate pair inside the squiggly bracket, or you're going to get marked wrong. So my answer here is negative 3, 1. Negative 3 for x and 1 for y. And I can verify that by plugging in if I like to make sure that's the right answer. So what you should do now is do the checkpoint problem here. Do this in your notes, check your answer, and then move on with the video. Okay, now we're going to look at example 3. This system is a little bit different because now we have 3 equations and 3 variables. We have x, y, and z. And I can tell you that doing this by hand is going to take you a long time. It's a lot of steps, and there are many opportunities to make a mistake. So we're going to do it the quick and easy way using the Desmos calculator. So going back to my Desmos calculator, now I can if I want to, I can just modify the matrices that I already have here, or you can continue on and use other letters. I can use C and D if I want to do that too. Doesn't really matter, whatever you like. So I'm going to just edit my matrices here. So now I have to have a 3 by 3 matrix for matrix A so that I can fit all 9 of these numbers in. So I'm going to edit matrix A by making it 3 rows and 3 columns, and then I can just type over the numbers that are already there and add in any additional numbers that I need. So I'm going to change this 4 to a 3. This is going to be 3, 1, and 2. If there are any variables that do not appear, you would put a 0 in that spot. So for example, if there wasn't an x here and it was just y plus 2z, then I would put a 0 in the spot for x. If there's a variable with no number in front, that would be a 1. And then we're going to have 1, 3, and 2 in the bottom row. Then I need to change b because now I need to have 3 rows and 1 column still. And putting those in, again, you're just putting them in the same order that they're in. If you try to mix them up, it's not going to work. You want to make it look like what is there. So 31 on top, then 19, then 25. And the cool thing about this is it automatically updates my answer, so I don't have to type anything else. When I look down here at A inverse B, I see 6, 3, and 5. So that means x is 6, y is 3, z is 5. So that is my answer here. When I write coordinates with 3 variables, it's just x comma y comma z. So this is going to be, again, a bracket and then a parentheses inside, and the point is 6, comma 3, comma 5. And again, I could check that if I wanted to plug in for x, y, and z to make sure that that was the correct answer. But with Desmos, it is much less likely that you're going to make a mistake. So next, you should practice checkpoint problem number 3. Do this in your notes and using Desmos. Check your answer and then move on to the homework.